Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a what sold video for all of my not live platforms from May 8th to May 14th. And we're going to start with Depop first because I actually have a Depop sale. And that is this 80s personal skirt. Personal is the name of the brand. It is a vintage brand, so it is no longer being made. I know, Moxie, I know. But this beautiful vibrant skirt is actually a women's size XL, but I kind of like styled it on my size 6 mannequin so you could kind of know what it would look like. Unfortunately, I don't have a plus size mannequin so I could give a more accurate depiction, but I did what I could. And it's still sold for my full asking price on Depop for $25, and on Depop I do free shipping, which just basically means that I include the price of shipping into my cost. I know that a lot of people do that on eBay, but I literally only do it on Depop. Really happy this sold. I paid basically $4 for this. And I'm gonna pick up Miss Moxie, who is damp right now because she got a bath. I am a weirdo, and that Miss Moxie does get regular baths because I'm actually allergic to cats. And if you did not know, she is a cat, despite the fact of her being as talkative as a small child. So now we're gonna do eBay, which is my main bay, and you guys know how much I love buying and selling linen Tahari, and this is no different. This is a women's medium top. It had a 3/4 length sleeve in this lovely like coral peachy color. Sold for $12, and the buyer paid for shipping. This I bought for $4.50 at a thrift store. I buy and sell these vintage knit tops, and they consistently sell for me either the short sleeve or the sleeveless. And this was a Birch Hill piece, and this was cashmere, so that's why I purchased it. And it sold for $12.99 in an offer that was sent to me, which I thought was very interesting. And of course they paid for shipping. I'm really happy about this sale. I paid $3 for this at a thrift store because sleeveless at the Goodwills are buy two, get each one for $3. This is another vinyl sale. This is actually an untested one. Like I said, I was like, all right, I'm just going to list things and see if they sell or not. This is a Cars album. This is a self-titled album and from 1978. And when this sold, literally as soon as I listed this, I was like, oh no. Oh no, no, no. If this had a skip in it and they returned it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I really want to deal with this. So that is when I decided, okay, I need to invest to get this vinyl out. This sold for $14.34, and of course the buyer paid for shipping. The vinyl haul will be the next video. Those of you that are looking forward to that, I have not listed all the vinyl. I will not have listed all the vinyl when this haul comes out. I am just letting you know that because of the fact for the next 2 months there's consistent vinyl sales, I feel like I kind of just have to put this video out. So I'm going to show you everything tomorrow that I got. A quarter of it's listed, quarter of it sold, and half of it is still unlisted, so just letting you know that. Again, this final haul is amazing. Super happy that this sold so quickly, and also that there was no issue. This is an item that I have to thank my Aunt Diana and Uncle Lauren for. This is a vintage England Umbro top. Umbro is currently sold at Target, but the vintage pieces still carry value, either made in the USA or made in England. This one was, I believe, made in England. Again, Diana and Uncle Lauren, thank you very much for donating the items to me, and this sold for $33.50. And this was, so if you did not know, the UK is actually Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and actually England. So there are actually 4 countries within the nation of the United Kingdom. So now you know that. They're all considered separate countries. So there you go. I actually have the next couple of items. I have Stephanie to thank for their viewer sales. The first one is this absolutely beautiful 70s silk blend scarf. And I picked this up because 1, it just felt really nice. I thought it was silk and I was proven correct. And 2, it was like gardening themed and plant gardening, cottagecore mushrooms. It had little mushrooms all over it. I knew this would sell quickly. I picked this up at an estate sale for like less than 50 cents. So Stephanie, thank you for purchasing this from me. I hope you love it. It was so cute. I thought very seriously about keeping it for myself to use like in my hair, but I'm glad it moved on to a new home, especially one that I know will love it. And then the next item she purchased for me, actually she purchased these 2 separate times so I couldn't combine shipping, but I'm going to combine them here so that way I can thank her in one big swoop. She pretty much bought these Duluth pants as soon as I listed them. These are Duluth Trading Co. Y'all know how I've talked about Duluth Trading Co. here on this channel. In women's wear, it is one of the few brands that will give you legit pockets. So these are dry on the fly, roll up, basically convertible pants. These are meant for fly fishing. That's why it's called dry on the fly. And she bought these for my full asking price of $29.87, pretty much as soon as I listed them. This would have been part of Thriftmas, but it was one of the videos that the footage was lost due to my hard drive failing. So Stephanie, thank you very much for giving both of these amazing pieces a home, and I hope you're enjoying both of them. This next item is a vintage 90s piece that I picked up at that estate sale that I got out of. This was a velvet black abstract floral that was tunic length and asymmetrical. It was just a really cool piece. This picture does not do it justice because once it hit the light, the metallic in the velveteen refracted light absolutely beautifully. I cannot describe it in a way that does it justice. I could not photograph it in a way that does it justice. The only way I could have done that is if I like put it on Karen and then like moved it and did a video. Beautiful piece, sold for $18 and the buyer paid for shipping. I've talked about on this channel how I love buying and selling dark floral items, especially vintage pieces. This is a 90s style dress and it sold for my full asking price of $24.87. Dark floral and dark academia are both key words or key things that you can put in your title. If you can get away with it, that will get a lot of eyeballs on your piece and normally ends up making a quick sale. This is a pair of Adidas Gazelles. Gazelles is a classic style of Adidas shoes. This is part of their Originals line, and these were bright blue and white. If you do not know and never been to my channel and this is your first time seeing me, hello, I say Adidas instead of Adidas. Both are correct. Adidas is localized to America only, specifically the United States, whereas the majority of the rest of the world say Adidas because Adidas is a German company. It is named after its founder Adolf Dassler, who went by Adi as their nickname. So Adi Dassler, Adidas. Both are correct. I worked for Adidas for 4 years. That is why I state it the way that I do. I know there are plenty of people who've worked for Adidas that say Adidas here in the United States, but my best friend is German and no. So I'm gonna say it the other way. So this next item is an absolutely gorgeous piece. I wish it was in my size. I would have kept it because I absolutely love this piece. This was a banded bottom polo, like button front polo. It was interesting and weird and this absolutely glorious like late 80s, early 90s print. This is by David Matthew. The brand doesn't necessarily sell it, but the style absolutely does. This was a women's size large and it sold for $12.50. I knew that this was not going to stay in my store for very long because it was awesome. I just mentioned how dark floral and dark academia are both key words in the title that are great for selling a piece. This is the fastest I've ever sold a Lafayette 148 piece. Lafayette 148 is considered a mid-tier luxury brand for a more mature and presenting audience, and this sold for $20 very quickly, and of course the buyer paid for shipping. This had a half sleeve with a square neck, and this was a size medium. So I put dark academia because this was a good base layer for that style, and it sold really quickly. Another full price sale, this is Gap. I picked this up because it was brand new with tags and a size 16. This is a crop style with a 26-inch inseam. I always try to include the inseam in the title if I have enough space for it because people do look for that, especially women. I know men also look for it too, but as a tall woman, I know I look for that because I need a 32-inch inseam, and I have friends here in reselling YouTube that have a shorter inseam that also look for that as well. Sold my full price of $19.87 and the buyer paid for shipping. This is a chaps item. I absolutely do not recommend you pick up chaps at all unless it is astounding chaps Ralph Lauren vintage pieces, and then maybe only at the bins. I did not pick this out. This actually came to me in a men's thread up rescue box. super happy it sold. It sold for $8. My average buy cost for this box was $4, so I doubled my money, and I'm super glad that this finally sold because I got that box probably 2.5 years ago. So this did take a very long while to sell, and again, the reason why I do not recommend you picking up chaps. Another beautiful 70s scarf. This is a green and white 21-inch square scarf. I have had this for a while. Whenever I go to an estate sale, I will pick up bundles of scarves. They normally give them for really cheap. I paid probably like less than 50 cents for this, and it sold for $6.30, and a buyer paid for shipping. So this is something I picked up from the Dab in Gloucester. I have talked about my love of vintage books and how my sweet spot is between 1930 and 1980 because that is where the sourcing opportunities are for me in my area. The items are too new for the antiquity dealers, and they're too old for the Amazon FBA sellers because the UPC barcode was not mandated on all publications made available for sale to the general public until 1978. So that's kind of like my sweet spot in there. And I have talked about how much I love picking up vintage choose your own adventure books. The ones from the 70s and 80s can be quite valuable. It just depends on the book and how old it is and the property, the licensing property that is associated with. This I picked up for 49 cents at the Dab in Gloucester, of which I have absolutely zero internet, so I couldn't look it up. So when I got it home, I was pleasantly surprised that these were selling between $40 and $80. This is Wizard, Warriors, and You. This was the 12th book in the series. Now, this sold for $50, and this sold to a gaming shop. So either the owner of the gaming shop bought this for themselves for their own personal collection or bought it to resell themselves. Honestly, I paid less than 50 cents for this book and sold it for 50. So even if they decided to resell it, I am very okay with that because this sold so quickly. It sold within a few days after listing it. This was an amazing sale and I'm very grateful for it. So the kids section is always worth looking into. There's a lot of like your regular stuff in there, but I've talked about how not only these choose your own adventure books can be valuable, but also vintage Nintendo Power books can also be valuable as well. Game guides. I've talked about how some 40s, 50s, and 60s little books are also, like some of the little older little golden books are also valuable. So don't pass up the kids section. You can find some gems in there. This next item is something I initially purchased for myself. You can see it is a beautiful green dress. Unfortunately, while the body of the dress fit really well, my normal trouble area is my arms. I have broad shoulders and muscle, so unfortunately a lot of things do not fit this, that area. So I did end up putting this up for sale. This is vintage Lily Pulitzer for the Y2K era in this beautiful Kelly green. Sold for $17. I paid $8 for this at a thrift store, so I doubled my money. And again, I wouldn't have probably bought this if it wasn't for the fact I had initially purchased this for myself. This is another viewer sale. She purchased actually 3 items for me. Cheryl, thank you very much. She actually purchased both of these half aprons for me, these vintage half aprons. One was from the 60s and one from the 70s. The green half apron I thought about keeping for myself, but I don't really use aprons when I cook, despite the fact I'm very messy and absolutely should. But she bought both of these. I picked these up at an estate sale for like $1 or $2, and they sold for $15.80. And then she also bought this vintage mid-century piece from me. This is a beautiful floral oval dish, and she bought it for me for my full asking price of $12.87. And I am so grateful that she purchased this from me. For those of you that are new to reselling vintage, please note that in that listing you see I just put mid-century, and that is because there is a difference between mid-century decor and dress and mid-century modern decor and dress. Both took place in the same time period, so after World War II, 1945, until about the mid to late 60s, roughly around 1966. That's considered the mid-century era. However, mid-century modern is normally a specific style within that time period. It's normally more masculine, bodacious curves, metal, wood, that type of deal, where everything else can just be, can fall into mid-century, which is more feminine. So a lot of dainty florals, a lot of pinks, a lot of pastels, also a lot of Asian inspired items, because up until about the mid to late 50s, America had occupied Japan. So you might see a lot of Asian inspired things as well from that time period that also can be considered mid-century. Some people use the outdated term Oriental. Again, that is an outdated term, and I would hope that you do not use it unless it is within the brand name. So those are the things. That's why that is mid-century and not mid-century modern. I know most people put mid-century modern in literally anything from that time period, but that is a specific decorating style, and I would hope that you all would be more particular in your listings. Now this next item, it says that it was returned. It was not returned. They did open a return. This is a brand new item. I picked this up because it was brand new with tags. This is Market and Spruce, which is a Stitch Fix brand. It had the Stitch Fix tag on it, and when they got it, they opened a return saying it wasn't gray enough. And I rolled my eyes so hard at that. And they did exactly what I thought they were going to do and opened a return and didn't actually return the item, because this is why I do buyer paid returns, is because most of these items under $20, when they open a return, they don't actually want to do their return. They just want a free item. And I know a lot of resellers out there that just don't want to deal with that and they'll automatically refund the money. I am not one of those people. I'm more than happy to give you a refund. In fact, I will actually refund your original shipping, which a lot of buyer paid return resellers don't do, if you actually give me my item back in the condition that I sold it to you in. But I do know that there are a lot of people out here that specifically do this, and so that's why I do buyer paid returns. So they opened the return, opened a case about 5 days before they had to ship the item, and eBay was like, you didn't return the item, so no. I got to keep the money and they got to keep the item. That was not great enough for them. I have talked about how much I love picking up Chico's Travelers because they travel to their new home super fast. I picked this up at a thrift store. It's sold within 72 hours of me listing it. For $15, I paid roughly $5 for this at a thrift store. So shoes are a really popular reseller item in my area, and so I rarely find shoe opportunities here for resale. When I saw these, I was like, these are very cute. And the opportunities that I find are normally European brands that people do not know about, and so they don't pick them up. And so I paid $8 for these, the full thrift store price at Goodwill, and these sold very quickly for $25. Another vintage piece. This is a 90s piece. It is purple and plaid. I've talked about how purple people love purple, and I love my purple people. This sold for $15. This was kind of a patchwork style without actually being patchwork. It looked like a quilt pattern. It was just a wild print. I am very, very happy to take chances on vintage pieces when they have an interesting or wild print, and there is a saying here in reselling YouTube, where ugly sells. I don't personally find this ugly. I think that this was just a really interesting visually piece. Sold for $15, and I probably paid like a couple of dollars for this. In probably one of my best performing what sold videos recently, I talked about how no one is talking about this menswear brand that has over 150% sell-through. The brand is called Ash and Airy. This brand specializes in clothing specifically for shorter masculine presenting people, and I found 3 of these pants at the same thrift store. I paid $5.50 for each of them. This pair actually sold once already, pretty much as soon as I listed it on offer, and then it got returned for fit. I relisted it and it immediately sold again for my full asking price of $34.87. So I will absolutely be looking out for and picking up this brand if it's in good condition. And I am so grateful I found these because they were a great quick flip. And again, the brand is Ash and Airy. It's a little gray tag, at least on the men's pants. So really happy about this, and I hope you guys will keep an eye out for it as well. This is something you will see in tomorrow's video because this is the clothing I picked up in that big vinyl haul. This is Patron Cito. I saw this beautiful pearl snap western wear shirt with this embroidery on the side, and I was like, I'm picking that up. I know that's going to sell, and it sold so quickly on offer for $19.90. I pick up all sizes. This is a men's size large, and when I saw this and it was in great shape, because a lot of western wear shirts sometimes will have holes and or like paint stains here on the arms, this was in perfect condition, and I'm really glad that this sold so quickly. But that was the last item I have to share for you. Again, I do hope you guys will tune into tomorrow's video where I show you all of the amazing vinyl I picked up. Also, I apologize for not all of it being listed, but it's at least an hour per record because I have to listen to the whole thing. And by have to, I mean it is a joy to listen to original recordings as they were intentionally produced. I've noticed that there is a grand difference between a vinyl sound and what I'm used to, which is digitally mastered media. There's quite a difference. It's like more gritty and grainy to listen to it on a vinyl record than it is the digital remasters that I'm used to. So that has been quite the experience, and I've been very grateful for it. So hopefully I will see you guys tomorrow, and until then, bye! Bye. Hero, hero, hero.